0799. Limited to the first 10 callers only. That's 240-650-0799. Call now.
Good morning, America. This morning, the transition of power. Donald J. Trump begins his first full day as president.
Preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
After promising to upend Washington.
This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
His inauguration, a day of pageantry and ceremony. And a night of celebration for supporters and for the Trump family.
But just blocks from the White House, hundreds of arrests as the political divide turns violent. Protesters hitting the streets of the Capitol, injuring police officers and setting fires. Thousands more preparing to demonstrate today.
And just hours into the new administration, the first orders to come from the White House. We have complete coverage around Washington as President Trump begins his legacy.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Hey, good morning. Donald J. Trump is waking up in the White House this morning for his first full day as the 45th president of the United States.
Yeah, he will be attending a prayer service at the National Cathedral this morning at the same time as tens of thousands of people from across the country gather for the Women's March on Washington. Now, the number of protesters today could rival the crowd that actually assembled for the inauguration on Friday.
This morning, we're covering every angle of this historic story, including the festivities and fashion overnight at the inaugural balls. But before we dive in, we need to tell you about some breaking news this morning.
We do. A large and extremely dangerous tornado touching down near Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Already reports of damage, and Rob is tracking it all for us this morning. Hi, Rob.
Damage, injuries, Paula, good morning, Dan, and people trapped in their homes. Search and rescue ongoing in and around Hattiesburg, and this strong line of damaging thunderstorms with tornadoes heading into Alabama as well. Also some damage across southeast Louisiana overnight, but certainly the bullseye of significant damage is in Hattiesburg. William Carey University, the dorms there damaged. You see some roofs caved in and collapsing, and as I said, multiple reports of injuries, and this will be ongoing throughout the morning, and daylight will reveal a lot more. West of Montgomery, we're looking at this same sort of threat, and this is a two-day event. We'll watch for this line to progress off to the east through the Panhandle today, and then maybe some resurgence back through Little Rock, and then tomorrow across parts of the Carolinas and Florida. This gets it up into the northeast as well as a windstorm. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. Dan,
so this is not over. Rob will be back to you for more throughout the show this morning. Let's get more on this tornado, though, from someone who was right there. Aaron Rigsby is a storm chaser, and he joins us on the phone from Hattiesburg. Aaron, good morning. Thanks for doing this. What's the situation right now from your vantage point?
Right now, things are still a little chaotic as this situation is still unfolding. The emergency services are overwhelmed right now. It looks like the hardest hit areas that I could find was just off of Highway 49 at South Pines Drive on the south side of Hattiesburg, where there was multiple injuries, multiple houses damaged, and even vehicles thrown off of the highway right there.
Aaron, can you tell us a little bit more about the injuries? We just heard Rob say multiple injuries, but there are people trapped in homes. What do you know?
Correct. Yeah. When I was parked on Highway 49, when the tornado crossed directly in front of me, it crossed in front of us only about 100 yards. And after everything calmed down, there was just a bunch of people shouting, "Help me! Help me! We need help!" And so I quickly went over there to that little side street that I was talking about earlier, and there was just a group of people. There was probably 8 or 9 people that came up to me saying that they need help, they need an ambulance. And the 4 people that I transported to the hospital, one of them appeared to have broken ribs and was breathing fairly heavily, almost like he was going into shock. And then there was 2 other people that had reported possible back injuries, and we could do nothing for them except just wait for the ambulance to get there. And like you were saying, there was a couple people also trapped in their homes in that area as well.
A hectic and scary morning for you and the people in Hattiesburg. Aaron Rigsby, thank you very much for your time this morning. We're going to be covering this story. Thanks again, Aaron. We're going to be covering this story throughout the day on ABC and on abcnews.com, but we're going to move back now to the history being made in Washington, where America has a new president. Overnight, we saw Donald Trump occupying his new office, the Oval Office. We also saw him and First Lady Melania Trump dancing at the inaugural balls. We have team coverage this morning, and we're going to start with ABC's chief White House correspondent, John Karl. John, good morning.
Good morning, Dan. This morning, the Trumps are waking up right over there in the White House for the first time. And as you can see, the lights were already on early this morning, waking up after an inauguration day that was vintage Trump. Hours after his swearing in, Donald Trump made his first trip to the Oval Office as president. The presidential office is already partially redecorated with signature Trump flourishes, including gold curtains and a new rug.
Next is an executive order minimizing the economic burden of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act pending repeal.
Sitting behind the famous Resolute desk, he signed an order on Obamacare.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
Hours earlier, just before noon, Donald J. Trump took the oath of office, officially becoming the nation's 45th president.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
But in his inaugural address to the nation, President Trump said the day wasn't about him.
January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer.
As former presidents and his former rival looked on, the new president painted at times a dark vision of the country, saying once again that he'll be the one to fix it.
Mothers and children trapped in poverty in our inner cities, rusted out factories scattered like tombstones across the landscape. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
Shortly after, President Trump and the new First Lady joined the Obamas before they boarded their helicopter flight out of Washington. At a luncheon in the Capitol, Trump shook hands with Hillary Clinton for the first time since the campaign, and he offered a few words of graciousness.
Because I was very honored, very, very honored, when I heard that President Bill Clinton and Secretary Hillary Clinton was coming today.
It was a day filled with the pomp and pageantry of inaugurations past. Outside the White House, I asked the new leader of the free world about the momentous day. Mr. President, how are you feeling?
Feeling great, thank you.
The Trumps plan to attend the national prayer service later today at Washington National Cathedral. And although he's already issued a few executive actions, the first full day of work, the president says, will be on Monday. And right at the top of the list, Paula, is getting his cabinet confirmed. The Senate has only confirmed 2 cabinet secretaries, Defense Secretary Mattis, Homeland Security Secretary Kelly, about 20 more to go.
He's getting right to work. It's going to be very busy. You're going to be busy because we're going to check with you a little bit later in the show, John. You're going to tell us what's next for the former First family. Thanks, John. And the other big story at the inauguration, the protests, many turning violent. I actually captured this video that you're going to see on my phone. Our news crew witnessed some of the looting, the broken windows, the destruction of property. Businesses were locking their doors. We tried to go outside and capture this, but we were ordered to stay inside. These particular protesters, they also set vehicles on fire. And Matt Gutman joins us from D.C. right now. And Matt, you were covering the protesters all day, and we're hearing that more protests and marches are planned today.
That's right, and the biggest one is set to take place right here. You can see them already moving gear in, setting the stage, women already here. This is going to be the March on Washington. Hundreds of thousands expected here, but with its A-list celebrities and peaceful approach, it'll be a far different thing than what you and I saw yesterday with those skirmishes all through the streets here in Washington, D.C. Overnight in Washington, D.C., protesters crashing one of the night's glamorous inaugural balls, pushing their way into the Freedom Ball, linking arms to try to prevent guests from coming in. Once pushed back, the protesters began tossing water on partygoers. Earlier, blocks from the pageantry of the inaugural parade, rioters smashing this limo, then setting it on fire. The smoke clogging the street, rioters then vandalizing this Starbucks and a McDonald's. Riot police moving in, a wall of them pushing protesters back, blasting them with pepper spray and stun grenades. Peaceful demonstrators scrambling for cover as bursts of rapid-fire rubber bullets rang out. Nearby, while being interviewed by another network,
are you like the hipster version of the neo-Nazi movement?
White nationalist Richard Spencer sucker-punched by a passing protester. More than 200 arrested in the nation's capital. At the University of Washington, a shooting at a protest left one hospitalized with possible life-threatening injuries. But as in Washington, the majority of the protests in California, New York, Chicago, Missouri, and other places were peaceful.
He's our president!
Meanwhile, Trump supporters standing by the president.
You know, when you're angry and you're yelling and you're screaming and you're destroying things, it takes away from your message.
Later this morning, that massive women's march taking to the streets of Washington, D.C., with sister marches extending across the country. Over 600 of these marches in all, more than 2 million people expected to turn out. A plane full of women arriving in Baltimore, cheering after the flight attendant said this.
A round of applause for all the nasty women on board.
Now, local authorities say they expect up to 400,000 people. Organizers told me overnight they expect even more than that. But what they really hope happens is that this launches a national movement warning against the rollback of women's rights during this Trump administration. Dan, Paula.
Matt Gutman, thank you. President Trump's message in his inaugural address was loud and clear. America first. Time magazine devoting much of its latest issue to the new president with this image on the cover. And joining us now to talk about all of this, Cokie Roberts and Kristen Soltis Anderson. Cokie, let me start with you. Let's talk about this Women's March on Washington this morning. Do you imagine the message of the marchers is likely to have a real impact on President Trump?
Well, it's not entirely clear what the message is, and I think that's a problem. Obviously, there are a lot of women, hundreds of thousands of them, who want to say, we're disturbed, we're angry, we're unhappy. But there's not a goal going forward. I mean, if they said something like, let's elect 100 women by 2020, and then tomorrow morning wake up and go out and start working on that, that's one thing. This is a little more amorphous than that.
And Kristen, you know, there were moments of outreach during the president's speech yesterday, but it was largely tough, uncompromising, a lot of populist undertones. Do you think he should have done more to unify?
I think it's going to take more than words to unify. I think it's going to take action. His speech sounded in many ways like a slightly more professionalized version of a campaign rally speech, very populist in tone, focused on going after those elites in Washington. I think he's going to have to make sure that when he in the future says he wants to be a president for all Americans, that he has actions, that those who, when they hear Donald Trump say all Americans, they don't really think they count in his definition of all. They're going to need to see action from him to feel like they're really a part of that.
Cokie, what about the Democrats? They're locked out of power largely in Washington right now. What is there any way that they can find to work constructively with this new president?
Well, I don't think they want to work constructively with the president. And yesterday, the symbolism of a boycott by many Democratic members of Congress really underlines that. The Republicans, through the Obama administration, acted like a traditional party in opposition, and I think the Democrats are likely to act the same way with President Trump. The problem with that, of course, is that it means nothing gets done, and that frustration about Washington and the Washington elites, quote unquote, remains, and that then becomes Trump's problem.
Cokie and Kristen, thank you very much for your analysis on this historic morning. The inauguration is a time for Americans to take stock, to look forward, and also to debate our values. But it is also, let's not forget, a party complete with galas and gowns. And ABC's Mary Bruce has more on that.
President Trump and First Lady Melania hitting the party circuit in their new hometown, show-stopping at 3 inaugural balls.
We knew we were going to win, and we won.
After brief remarks from the president, it was time for that much-anticipated moment.
So now it's a tremendous honor to have the first dance with Melania.
For the president, who rose to power doing things his way, a fitting first song. Trump singing along to Frank Sinatra's My Way. The Trump family, Vice President Mike Pence and wife Karen Pence, joining them on stage. The balls filled with entertainment from the Rockettes to the Lord of the Dance. and the piano guys performing a familiar fight song, the anthem of Hillary Clinton's campaign. At the final ball of the night, Melania Trump making her first remarks as First Lady.
I'm honored to be our First Lady.
Capping off the historic evening, the President and First Lady each dancing with members of the military.
Now, as for that little political oops with the Clinton campaign song, the band says it had nothing to do with politics, but the artist Rachel Platten tweeted that while she respects the office of the president, they did not have her permission, and she did not endorse their decision to play her song. Dan and Paula.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. I know we're going to be talking fashion later, but quickly, what'd you think of the dress, Melania's dress overnight?
I think Melania just knocked it out. I think all of the ladies in the Trump family knocked it out of the park all day. I know that was really the analysis that you were going for, Dan. That was the first order of business. We're going to be talking about the fashion a little bit later in the show.
I was
Melissa
digging
Rivers.
Barron Trump's skinny tie. I thought he rocked that well.
How about Barron Trump, though? And I mean, 10 years old, the way that he handled himself.
Absolutely, to be in the sight of the global attention all day long, he handled it really well.
Just like you would have done as a 10-year-old, or I would have done as a 10-year-old.
No, absolutely not. Let's turn back to the weather, though, because as we said at the top of the show, there's some breaking news. Rob tracking that severe weather moving through the south right now. Hey, Rob, good morning.
Good morning again, guys. Just to revisit this, we have 2 tornado watches out for the south and east. This one in eastern Louisiana until 9 a.m. Central Time, and this one till noon. And that one has multiple cells that look to be rotating. All right, let's time this thing out as far as where this thing is going. We've got 2 days to go through this, and tomorrow by 2 p.m. Birmingham and Atlanta, you get another batch of this, and the most threat will probably be southeast Georgia and parts of Florida. But then it gets into the Carolinas, and by 2 a.m. Sunday, we're looking at Norfolk, Virginia, to get some rain and some wind. This is going to turn into a nor'easter, mostly a rain and wind event, but we're looking for coastal flooding, big waves here from the Delmarva up through Jersey, Long Island, and then parts of eastern New England. Strong winds could gust to 60 miles an hour, coastal flooding, and some beach erosion with this as well. So a significant storm on Monday for the Northeast. That's a quick check on the national headlines. Here now is your local forecast.
Good morning, Washington. I'm meteorologist Josh. Tonight is a foggy start for a lot of us, and wrapped up in that fog is some pretty misty weather, even a little bit of drizzle. Not as much of an issue for us right around D.C., more so as we go farther north and off to the west. So starting off for today, we're looking at temperatures in the mid-40s early on. We're up to the mid-50s for your high today. Later on, we'll lose some of that drizzle. As we do look throughout the next few days, rain looks likely for us late tonight. Again on Sunday, your heaviest rain is here on Monday.
Dan, as always, looking for a private forecast. Just asked me what it's going to be like if he's driving from Boston to New York on Monday. It will be rainy and windy, but snow in the mountains. No, so just hold on to the steering wheel.
That's what friends are for.
Yeah,
Come
there's
on.
got to be some privileges to this job.
I should also point out Ron's home state of California has been getting hammered with a lot of rain and wind there, significant storms. We'll talk more about that in about 10 minutes, because I know you care.
I do.
Speaking of Ron, let's hand the baton over to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. That's not a baton. It's a pen. But good morning to you, Paula and Dan. Diane, good morning. And Robert, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. We're going to begin with a school shooting near Columbus, Ohio that left one student critically wounded, but police say it could have been much worse. The 17-year-old student is accused of opening fire in the hallway of West Liberty High School. This was early Friday morning. And what police say appears to have been a random shooting. Staff members rushed in and pinned the suspect down until police arrived this morning, those staff members being hailed as heroes. And lawyers for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl have filed a new motion to dismiss the Army's desertion case against him. They're saying that Donald Trump's harsh words about Bergdahl on the campaign trail prevent him from getting a fair trial. Trump called Bergdahl, quote, a dirty, rotten traitor. Bergdahl had been hoping for a presidential pardon before President Obama left office. That was not granted. And in Orlando, Florida, the man accused of killing a police officer outside of a Walmart nearly 2 weeks ago made his first appearance before a judge in that case. He was denied bail. Markeith Lloyd is also charged with killing his ex-girlfriend in December. He was captured in an abandoned house on Tuesday. And in Houston, ex-President George H.W. Bush and his wife Barbara, they are on the mend. The couple is reported to be doing better and recovering in the hospital this morning. The 92-year-old former president was hospitalized Wednesday with pneumonia. His wife Barbara, who's 91, was hospitalized with bronchitis. The couple are said to have watched the inauguration on TV together. And in central Italy, dramatic rescues as crews search for survivors from an avalanche that buried a mountainside hotel. At least 9 people, including 4 children, found alive, buried under the